Welcome to the Rush of Fear podcast, where we are covering Universal Orlando's premier scare event, Halloween Horror Nights, for our sister podcast, the unofficial Universal Orlando podcast. Today, we are continuing our series of episodes diving into the history of HHN. So without further ado, let the mayhem begin with Horror Nights 1992.
What a rush of fear.
Hello, everybody. I am Michelle, your host for today, and with me I have Miss Maddie.
Hi.
And Mr. Kenneth.
Hello.
And we are so happy to announce and surprise you with the mother of Halloween Horror Nights, Miss Julie Zimmerman.
Hi, everybody. It's Mom.
It's Mom.
Oh my God. That was awesome.
It was. Thank you so much for agreeing to meet with us, Julie, because we had a lot of questions after covering the first year of HHN. There's just not a whole lot of info out there about those years. So hopefully you can fill in some blanks for us.
I'd be glad to.
Awesome. So before we dig into 1992, which is the second year, let's revisit the first year momentarily now that we have the creator on our panel. But before we do that, Julie, you want to tell us a little bit about 1991 and the birth of Halloween Horror Nights, which at the time was called Fright Nights?
Yeah, it was an interesting, Universal opened badly. Most people who know the history understand that a lot of the rides didn't work. And it was kind of a mess. Well, Jay Stein, who's the father of Universal Studios Florida, had always wanted to do a Halloween event at the new theme park. So they him-hawed around, and then finally they gave in to him. So it was put together. It was kind of a ragtag team of people. Tim Cipielli and Joel House were building it, and it was all over the place. They knew they were doing a haunted house, and they wanted to do this, they wanted to do that. So they asked me to come in as project manager to sort of put it together. And it was so successful that they were beside themselves. I saw Jay Stein smile for the first time. He never seen me. And I said to him, Jay, you must be happy. And he smiled. And I thought, oh my God, I'm close to Jesus right now.
That's hilarious.
They were lined up to get in there. And remember, it was cheap in those days. It's compared to the world now. They're lined up to get in there. And I'm just thinking, it's going to work. You've got to be kidding me. So, they just came in and word got out within the next 2 days that this was really an awesome thing. And they had wanted to find an event. Universal had looked to find an event that was theirs, which, of course, now 30 years later, it is theirs. And Universal Pictures really was saved by its horror films beginning in the 30s. So, to me, it just was perfect. So Fright Nights came together. It was kind of nuts a lot of the time because we were working with very little staff in a trailer that was infested with mice. I'm not kidding you now.
Oh, my God.
I'd go to work in the morning and I'd hear these little beep, 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 beep things going on. And we also had a rat lady in the Dungeon of Terror, and we kept the rats in the trailer as well. So we had these cages of live rats, right? And I go in the morning, and this is all I would hear is this cacophony of squeaks from these wild animals. But it all came together. Paul Revere and the Raiders were there. People probably even know who that is. Jerry Lee Lewis was there as talent, and it was studio wide. It had, we had the wonderful Thunderdome as people came down Hollywood Boulevard. Not as many things to do, but for a 3-day event, it was actually amazing to see it turn around. And we were putting things together in the last 2 weeks. We were stealing things. We always stole things. We stole bleachers from Nickelodeon or the graveyard. We just stole them in the middle of the night. We were always doing this. We had a golf cart, and we would go around if there's something we needed, we just take it.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
That's the spirit.
So that's what we did. We were just, Beetlejuice Graveyard Review was a show that was put over, the Base Motel was still there, and Psycho House. So it was basically put there, and it eventually became a show at Universal all the way through 2012. But a highly successful event. It was fun. It was scary. The Dungeon of Terror was frightening because, we didn't have all the safety restrictions. It was the first year we did it. And although the city said, okay, you didn't have the things you now must have. So you go down hallways with no lighting, slime on the walls. I was afraid to go in there in the daytime. That's how I was absolutely terrified.
Were they allowed to touch the guests?
Well, no, but the bad thing we learned very quickly was that guests like to touch them.
Yeah.
Everything has changed.
No. So as the year progressed, we had to protect them. No, they didn't touch the guests, but they were closed. There was an asylum in there and their hands would come out, but they did not touch the guests. But It scared the hell out of people. They ran out of there. It was just, it was a different world than it is now. It's more sophisticated in some ways, I would say. But that year was incredibly fun. And we had Frankenstein and Dracula playing on a huge screen, and I got those from Universal in Hollywood, and they had found those prints for me that they didn't know they had. So we had a lot of cool things that went on, and that was the basis. But they did not know if they were going to do it again because it's expensive to produce. So I had given them the concepts for Halloween Horror Nights, which was still called Fright Nights at that time, and I didn't know if they were going to do it. And then they decided literally 2 months before, we're going to go and do the next HHN. So it was a feeding frenzy. Talk about Shark Week,
Wow.
And now your advertising budget is more like $10 million. The first year it was like $15.60.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, my goodness.
Posters up on the wall that says Halloween Horror Nights. It was Pepsi was in on it, but it wasn't as glamorous, I want to say, as it is now. But it took off. Boy, did it take off!
Yeah.
I would say so. It has literally has a cult following, and it's so cool that you were the one that started it all. And thank God you did, because it is such a highlight of my life every year. And I think that I speak for thousands when I say that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
In all parts, in all parts of the globe, because there are people I have, who have found me that are all over, especially in England and Ireland. And I have a stalker. I have my own Halloween Horror Nights stalker.
What?
And yeah, there was a guy who found me one day. It's not funny, but it is funny, where I used to work. And there's these people, my office people said, there's this man out here. And he said, the lady who created Halloween Horror Nights. And I said, what do you mean he's here? So I said, hello to him, whatever. And then he came back and finally had to tell him you can't come back anymore. But it was just hysterical, I thought.
Wow. That's a little creepy.
That's bizarre is what that is. But yeah.
Guys, you can just come to the next Weekender and meet Julie. You don't have to stalk her. It's okay.
And he thought I could get him into Halloween, which I wouldn't do in a million years because he was kind of creepy. He's creepy. So he wondered, could I get him in, or if not, could I give him the money for a pass? And I looked at him and I was like, are you high?
What? He probably was. My goodness.
But anyway, Friday night, it was one haunted house. All over the streets were, a guy that pounded nails into his head. We had a psychic, we had fire eaters. So it was sort of like a carnival type atmosphere.
Yeah. So while you're mentioning that, we do have some specific questions related to the last episode that were recorded. Kenneth, you want to kick us off with the first one?
Sure. And I don't even remember. It's been so long since we recorded that first one that some of these questions seem silly to me, but I'll go ahead and ask it because I'm sure it comes from something we discussed. So the Chainsaw Massacre show, did guests get to keep the tossed body parts?
Yeah. So in the description, it says that they would like toss fake body parts into the audience and blood, which was water, So our question was like, now, if somebody in a show tossed you a body part, you'd be like, oh my God, it's a trophy. I'm going to take it and put it on my mantle at home. So was that a thing? Really?
No, there was no Chainsaw Massacre show. Absolutely not. No. The only show, no, there was no such animal. There was a show called Thunderdome, okay, which I wouldn't necessarily, it was I don't know if anyone remembers the Mad Max series Thunderdome, but there was a whole Hollywood Boulevard right by Melrose. That whole area was sort of this kind of medieval place with catwalks and different things. And we had like WWF was shooting at the time, the wrestlers. So those guys were there, and, with ponytails, these menacing humans. Then we had kind of a dominatrix, and that was literally just called Thunderdome. And what they did was they'd say, do you want to come to the Thunderdome? Or someone would pick the guy out of the audience who wasn't, it was obviously one of ours. And they put him in a cage and then lower him down the stage. And the next thing that came up was a skeleton. But no, we didn't throw body parts. No, it was just, it was very awesome because it was cool, and the dominatrix was talking to everybody as they came in at torches. But no, we never had a chainsaw massacre there at all. That was Thunder.
Well, there we go, from the lady herself who made the event. That was not a thing. I don't know how in the world that became a thing.
They probably took the chainsaw drill team from the next year. I don't know where people come up with this stuff, but you kind of like, if you find the early, there's a 1991 piece out on YouTube. If you find that recap, you'll see Thunderdome and the different things in there. But, again, you're right. There wasn't the same kind of media. This was a different world then.
Yeah.
We couldn't all stand out there with a cell phone. It was sort of like if our promotions or publicity hadn't filmed it, or different things that were done for television, you wouldn't be able to find it anymore. So
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Now we didn't throw any body parts.
Well, darn. That would be really cool if somebody did, though.
Yeah. Along with all of that, there was also a lot happening in the streets of New York. Yes, a lot. I can list off a few. The Cobra Woman, Dr. Death, Dragon Breath, the Human Pincushion, the Gypsy Fortune Teller.
Well, the pincushion was basically, one of these, he had found out. There's a retired circus folks live here, not far from here, and the Ringling Brothers, and we had tightrope walkers. I mean, all these folks live very close to our world. And one of our stunt coordinator, John Zimmerman, not related to me, and another gentleman, they all knew everybody from that circuit. So we brought in, the people that lay on the pin cushions, and we had a guy laying on the, all the nail spikes, and people could walk on him and go over. And we had, the dragon was he was a fire kind of dancer, fire eater. And we had the guy that, I know stuff is gross, but he put nails into his nose and swallowed swords. And there's a facade in New York that is, I think it's the one that was from Adrian's Pet Shop. We had psychics in there. So we had entertainment going all the time, and it was bizarro stuff. And that's
cool.
It was
that's
just
cool.
A little bit of a carnival is what it felt like.
So were these people just like roaming around, or were they in set areas?
Were in locations. One of them, Johnny, that's the guy that did the sword swallowing, had the deepest voice you've ever heard. He would call me, Julie, Johnny, like I wouldn't know him. He was on the Blues Brothers stage. People were the pincushion was over there in right across the street from what was then Ghostbusters. Now it's Jimmy Fallon. They were positioned throughout. Okay. We had a guy that I love, the coffin salesman, was there. And so they were peppered all the way through there. And they also, I think, misquote saying that we didn't have characters. I'm not sure. We did have characters. We had some really cool stuff, because in those days, again, by the time someone could say you can't do that anymore, like another movie studio, we had done it. And we had a priest. I still love this, with The Exorcist. So we had a priest, and we had a bed that we had put on rollers, and then we had Reagan in there from The Exorcist, not the real one. And that was my favorite. And they would drive this through, especially in New York, and people were screaming and running from it. So we did have things there, in those days we did.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was cool. It was fun. We had the Lost Boys that came running through Central Park. We had a lot of identifiable folks. Now, again, this is before they came and said you can't do the Lost Boys unless you want to pick it. But so there was stuff going on. There was Laurel and Hardy, who are phase characters with us. One of the guys who worked over there said, "Can I please do a graveyard in Central Park?" I said, "Go ahead." So he was digging graves. The boys were digging graves. And so that's what was going on. There was a little bit of everything. A lot of stuff for 3 days when you think about it.
It is. And also in New York, apparently, correct us if we're wrong, there was a Magical Mania show.
Yeah, we had the magicians that were friends of these guys. They're, they're not 100 years old, but they used to be on the circuit. So it's a magic show, cut the girl in half. type of thing. Just exactly. I mean, call it Penn and Teller down a little bit. Yeah.
Gotcha. So it seemed like there was a lot of action in New York as opposed to the other areas of the park. Is there a reason why it was so concentrated in that area as opposed to spread out like today's event is?
Part of it is the facades were there, which help us, and I mean, it went all the way to I call it the J sign statue, which is where the one Italian restaurant is. So you're looking, and the thing about the other road out there that, when you first walk in, if you go straight, that's where the characters more or less were.
Okay.
So, and then you had a short distance from, if you went into Amity, which is gone now, then we had all the concessions, people were dressed. And that's the first year we allowed anybody to wear costumes. So they all had costumes on. But that part, and that's where you went to get in line for the Dungeon of Terror, which is what was in the Jaws queue line. So, that's what that area pretty much had. You walk through there, the games are there, and then you got in line for the Dungeon of Terror. That's how that worked.
Okay, that makes sense.
It makes more sense when you you got to remember things. Men in Black wasn't there. The infamous Back to the Future wasn't open yet. So that's the dark end of the theme park, basically.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. None of that. I mean, the Wild West, which isn't even called that anymore. Now it's really, I think, from what I've seen, I think they're going to put a show into that arena, which used to be Bill and Ted's arena. I think they're putting a live show in there this year. So that's what went on. You didn't go in that back area because that back area hadn't been developed yet. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. This next question, we cut up about this one quite a bit. So Kenneth, you want to ask the next one?
The wording of this confused us. So it was the Universal Science Band. And the quote from the information we got was a group of Universal team members playing various instruments on Exposition Boulevard. And they would perform songs such as The Monster Mash and My Skin Crawls. So the specifying that it was Universal team members really stood out to us. Could you explain what was happening with this band?
The amazing Tony Alleguas, who I swear is probably still there. They put together, it was call it street musicians, whatever. But these guys, and they were dressed like mad scientists, and they play, like you said, the Monster Mash, different songs that way. And I mean, I can't tell you if they're still there, but they were there for a very long time, not always playing that kind of music, obviously.
Is that like the studio brass band that plays out in front of Hello Kitty sometimes? Is it like kind of like that?
Exactly. Probably still Tony Alleguas is in there. Tony was very funny and very. That's why I'll never forget Tony Alleguas. That's what that was. Yeah, the guys. They were funny anyway. But yeah, they're very good musicians. I mean, in those days, a lot of times the park employees were recruited into different things. Tony Alleguas was obviously an employee. Everybody became an employee in that. But a lot of talent was found within the Universal ranks, especially in those days. The Haunted Houses in the early days were all Universal employees. They were, coming from different areas, but there weren't any outside auditions that first couple of years.
Yeah, that is just so funny to think about because when we first read that, we were like, all right, was this like, Tony from E.T. was like, hey, I can play the triangle. And then we got like so-and-so from across the street. Hey, I can play the kazoo. Like it just sounded funny, like just a bunch of Universal team members got together and made a band. I don't know.
They were real. And they played, like I said, they played during the day. They might play when the characters would come up, like you said, if they were on that Hollywood in those days, Mae West and that tribe, they play for them in the normal park guards, but they were just tailored more for Halloween.
That's cool.
And there was a dance party when you went through Thunderdome. You got to the other side, and there was a huge dance party, and that's what Paulie Bear and the Raiders played. So, and there were characters mixed in with them too. So it was a big party.
Kenneth, this sounds right up your alley. Like
it does. I would have been there all night.
Yeah, you need to be in that band.
Oh, yeah, that would have been even more up my alley. You're right, to be part of the band. I've thought about possibly auditioning for that brass band, although I don't think they're out and about right now.
I don't know who's out and about right now because it's crazy. Who's doing what because of all this now.
Right.
Well, they were walking the streets during Mardi Gras.
Yeah. No,
that's true.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's out there this minute. So they've been there since Christ. I mean, that's the truth.
That's cool.
It's Christ. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think we just have one more question before we move on to 92.
Yes.
Sure.
And for me, this is the most important question because I feel like this is now my personality, my persona. Okay. Who was Prince Dragon?
Prince Dragon was a dude from Haiti. With
Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, he had hair that went, you know what I'm saying? It was like, he was, and he did the fire, he danced. He was a scary dude, though. You know, I mean, he's kind of a voodoo dude.
Oh.
Yeah, Prince Dragon, I loved him. He didn't speak any English. His Chris Chan is the name of the agent I used. And Dragon would come in and you could say anything you wanted to Dragon. He'd just smile at you.
Because he didn't understand.
He was good. I mean, he was great. I mean, he was just all over the place. With I don't know how people do what some of these people do, especially with fire and swallowing. But that's who Prince Dragon was. Yeah, wasn't anybody resembling Prince, the entertainer, but he was.
Yeah, because that's all we had was, we had Prince Dragon. And
there was no information on him whatsoever.
None.
No, he's, I wouldn't doubt that the dragon's still out there too. I'd have to ask Chris Chan, but that's what he was, yeah. And he, you know, he's bare chested and what can I say? Like I said, he's kind of a Rasta / voodoo dude.
Huh.
Very entertaining. Very entertaining.
Super cool. Awesome. Well, thank you for filling in those blanks. So for 92, we have just as many blanks. So I'm happy that you're with us. So moving on to the second year, which took place in 92, Fright Nights proved to be such a popular event for studios, as Julie mentioned, that they decided to do it again the next year. But this time, however, the event would be renamed to what we now know as Halloween Horror Nights. So why did that change?
It's all about somebody else had the name Fright Nights and they challenged Universal and we had to change the name.
Okay.
You know? Yeah, if ever, you know, when you're that public, you know this in life, and anybody hears it, then if it has anything to do with something, somebody's going to come after you and say, isn't this?
Right.
Yeah. So they had to change the name, and they did. And that's the year with the pumpkin and the chainsaw, which is the original Halloween Horror Nights icon, which I actually have the original drawing of, but that's a few years was the chainsaw going through a pumpkin. That's what the television ads were too in those days. So.
Wow. You have the original drawing. I hope you have that framed safely somewhere.
Probably, yeah. And I don't know how I acquired it. It's probably something we stole when we were out. No, I got it from the photographer. Actually, yeah, I got it. And I don't know how it ended up with me, but I have it.
That's super cool.
Yeah, I think it's
totally fangirling right now.
I know what shirt I'm going to wear today when I leave my house. So more dates were added for people to get their Scream on. And as such, it took place in Universal Studios Florida and ran on October 23rd, 24th, 29th, 30th, and 31st from 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. And a one-night ticket still cost $12.95 plus tax. Wow.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. I don't even believe it when we talk about it. You know? You
can't even get a beer for that now in the park.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, it's a while ago, but it's hysterical when can you imagine going to Halloween Horror Nights and only paying $12.95 now? It wouldn't be out.
You pay 10 times that.
Yeah, I mean, I know. So yeah, it wasn't that expensive.
Well, how was that comparable to the daytime park admission? Was the daytime park admission that low as well?
No, it wasn't that low, but everything was lower. You know, yeah. I mean, and you had this is the funny part, which people may or may not know. You know, the year when it didn't open well, everybody was given a get out of jail free card. They were given a ticket that said they could come back to Universal anytime they wanted to, and so. But not to Halloween Horror Nights, you had to pay for it. So there were droves of people during the daytime who were using their ticket. So Universal was so different, though, you know, and as things like Back to the Future came on board and, you know, more entertainment came on board, then more people started flocking there because it was an adult. It's always been an adult place. It doesn't have dancing mice and, you know, it has beer and alcohol and it's
monsters.
Yeah. And monsters. It's totally different. It's not bring your kids and somebody will, you know, take a happy picture. It's got a chainsaw. Hopefully you won't lose your leg.
Love it. That's why we all love it.
Yep. Now this year we did get our first haunted maze, and that was People Under the Stairs. Yep. And the little bio for that was take a trip through the cryptic set based on the movie by Wes Craven in Soundstage 23.
Yeah. First year we used a sound stage because they were usually booked. Because in those days, like I feel like Mark Twain or something, but
back in those days,
at that point had become a very popular place to film, very reasonably priced. So those sound stages were booked. Nickelodeon was in there, the Wrestlers, as I call them, was in there. Those stages were booked all the time, and we worked out a deal with Norm Rice, and we got that sound stage, which was like, wow, this is so cool. The People Under the Stairs is a film by Universal, and why I loved it was all the scenic design within it, because in the movie, this seemingly facade of life, it was supposed to be a funeral home anyway, looked like a normal business, but what they were doing was people would come in and never get out. So there were people in the walls, basically, is what happened. And we recreated scenes exactly from the film, and scenic was cool because it was already there for us. So when it was designed, that's what we were thinking of. And the soundstage, what's great about it is you can control the lighting. You can put anything in a soundstage. It's just a box.
Right.
All your electric is there. All the different things were there. So that's what we put in there. And we tried to do fog. The funny story is we wanted to have fog in there at all times. So we bought a big like LN2 thing. And once the people got in there, the fog dissipated. It couldn't, you get warm bodies in there. And I was like, well, that's great for there. But
there goes that idea.
A guy was called Leather Daddy. Don't laugh at me, but he's from the movie. And so he came out of a drop ceiling. You're walking down the maze and there's, like going to your attic. That comes out. There's this crazy man, Leather Daddy. So that was the first time we entered into a completely designed haunted house with all bells and whistles. Because, like I said, the dungeon, scary as it was not as, I want to say, sophisticated as this was. And that was, the first year we did that, which was great for us because it's all about capacity. And there's not, Halloween Horror Nights has a trouble with lines anyway, but that was the big deal with these guys. They wanted to make sure we didn't have 3-hour waiting lines like we did for the dungeon. So we could get people through there pretty quickly, in and out. And that's what that was.
So cool to hear about how all this started and think about what it is now.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
It takes over the whole park and almost all the sound stages now. And you guys had to fight to get that one. So that's really cool.
And you pay for it. It's not like I think people don't understand, and not that they care, but everything you do, even within your own department, Halloween Horror Nights had to pay for it. So, like if I have people working in certain areas like tech services, I have to pay for them out of my budget, right? Mm-hmm. So, we had to rent the sound stage from them. And it's just funny stuff, that you hear behind. In future years, some of the sets were from Hollywood. Casper was a film at that time. I got some of their set pieces put in. Wasn't a Casper, but I had that, which was fabulous. I had pieces of Flintstones because we recreated that in sound stages. As an experience in those days. So all that stuff I had. So what we would do is use that within the scenic design, and then we had our own scenic design folks, which now, of course, you see at Halloween Horror Nights even more. But so these were the first time, again, everything was like, wow, to me, and I think to the guests. Much more effects within the house, beautiful lighting, and, it's cool. Sound stages are the best place to put a haunted house. Come on, you can't beat.
Oh, yeah, totally agree. And then, as well as the People Under the Stairs, we once again had the Dungeon of Terror, which returned to allow you to watch a full cast of madmen and monsters wreak havoc and mayhem within the walls of the dungeon's dark, dark depths. And it was again in the Jaws queue.
Yeah.
So I guess it did so well that you guys decided to keep it running for the second year.
Well, it was up there. Jaws, Jaws sat vacant for 2 freaking years because nobody knew what to do with it. And perfect queue line for anything. And so we had kept it up. And then John Paul Gertz we redesigned that, so you're still had long hallways, but there were different folks in there. Chucky was in there. The Creature from the Black Lagoon was in there. And yes, Ooh. I'm sorry, but that guy did touch your feet. Okay, I will have to.
Ooh, no. That's so cool.
I take back the points on that one. That was fabulous. This dude was literally, again, he's a stuntman, but yeah, that guy literally came out of the water. You didn't see him. You walk
Whoa.
Bridge. To this day, the bridge still scares me. And so they had a bridge, and it's darker than hell in there, and you're walking over this bridge saying to God, what are they going to do? And this freaking pan would come up and grab your ankle.
From out of the water.
From out of the damn water. He was
Oh my God.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he was hiding under the bridge or whatever, or other times he just emerged out of there. Well, it scared the hell out of people. It was a real person.
Wow.
You know? So that was awesome. So we had that in there. We just put different gags. I want to call them gags. You know, you try different doors and some don't open. Then you open one. It's the creature from Alien. That's what was in there. We just finessed it, made it a little more sophisticated, made it move quicker. You know, we kept the name because you got to remember 3 days the year before, and we had it there already. So we just repurposed and redesigned the Dungeon of Terror, basically.
So there were actual interactive elements where you could actually open doors?
Yes.
What?
That's so cool.
These fools, I mean, it was like you'd get in this. It was kind of so you go into like a hallway, you know, or moving into this house, and on both sides of you are the doors. Some sides you can't open, and some sides you open the door, and this thing comes at you, you know.
Oh my God.
That's sick.
So that's fun stuff for people to do. And, you know, more interactive, yes. You know, the walls move type of thing. So it was still a cool house. Just a little better gigs.
Wow.
And the stuff that didn't work was gone. You know how that goes. I mean, we learned what worked and what didn't work. So we just made it. I think you think of the days, it's more interactive than they now can do. But I loved it. I love that creature.
Oh my God. I wish so much I could go through that now.
Yeah, that sounds incredible. That sounds like something only a local haunt could do now.
Yeah.
Because your laws are XYZ. That was beautifully done. You know, I mean, it was beautiful because it looked like a swamp in there.
Wow.
And day. Because they, you know, we literally built, I want to say a huge sauna or a huge pool in there. So it was dank and, you know, you've got an enclosed building with this water. So yeah, it was awesome.
Dang.
Wow. Well, in 1992, there weren't as many shows as the year before, but still enough to entertain. This year saw the first appearance of Horror Nights staple Bill and Ted's Excellent Halloween Adventure. And the description given is bodacious stunts and awesome surprises take you on a trick or treat through time on the Wild West stunt stage.
Yeah, I mean, Bill and Ted was there forever. Great show. I had seen the movie. People say, I saw the movie and the first movie is really fun. And I love that movie. And so I was thinking, okay, time travel, you can do whatever you want is what I thought of it. Anybody could come out of that phone booth. We had a working, in those days, we even had horses over there because it was a Wild West stunt show. So my brain goes, well, hell. I mean, again, you repurpose what's already there. So the gags are already there. You know, the guys slide for life. So we cast it with guys that look like Bill and Ted within the studio. These guys still think they're Bill and Ted. I mean, no, there was recently Attractions Magazine did a thing about the history of Bill and Ted. And those two guys still, I mean, one guy he's in plastic surgery to keep looking like Ted.
Oh my God.
Whoa.
That'd be scary as hell. So I wrote this show not knowing if anybody's going to like it, you know, and from the beginning when they came out, I'm, you know, PLS, Preston Esquire, Ted Theodore Logan, and that, the show was a hit. And they were trick-or-treating through time, you know, type of thing. I mean, they ran into some of the characters from the Wild West Stunt Show. Yes, they did, because the guys were there. You know, they came out of the phone booth, and they're in the middle of, which, of course, looks like the Old West. So
yeah,
first
right.
they encounter is somebody on a horse. But the great part about it was, and Rufus was in it, because George Carlin wasn't dead then, not the real George Carlin. So we taught these guys, they auditioned with John Zimmerman. And so we had to teach these guys how to be stuntmen. But the great part about it was we had the DeLorean there, you know, so if we're traveling through time, I'm going to put every time thing I can do. So, you know, at one point, literally the DeLorean with Doc Brown came out of what was then the bar and people are screaming. So anybody could come through the door. So that year we did have the rights to the Terminator. We had Freddy Krueger. You know, every bad guy in the universe was coming out of this thing. And then the end of it is, which is the finale of the movie as well as it was a big kind of rock and roll show. And every year that was tailored towards, you know, one year it was Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. As we advanced, you know, one year it was the Brady Bunch.
God.
Oh, God. So that's what it was. So in the end, there's this huge, you know, cavalcade of people out there. lookalikes, and it was this hit. It was shown at an employee preview, and I was sitting there going, "Oh my God, I didn't know. I don't know if people don't like this," and they loved it. And I thought, "Oh my God, it worked." And that's how it started. And then a cult started with those.
Oh yeah. A total huge cult following. And it sounds like it followed kind of the same setup until the end, with the rock and roll show at the end. And
And it was topical as per what's going on in the United States at this time. Anybody who was in the news or whatever. So, the OJ year, I mean, people were screaming. I said, "Oh, I'm really worried about putting OJ." And they said, "No, we have to." So that's what they said. And so all of a sudden at one point, just, they found a car that looked just like that. And there was an OJ lookalike in Orlando. And that guy came out, the Bronco crashed in and he got out and they screamed.
Oh my God.
Screaming like wild animals. So it was just a surprise. Bill and Ted continued to be, Batman flew one year. I mean, when you have a stunt venue, you can do anything you want. So everybody, whatever's going on in the news, they were in a Bill and Ted show.
Right.
Yeah. So it's still, I mean, people miss it, and I don't blame them because it was fun. And that cost us nothing. I think maybe when the movie came out, it was like $2,010 a year for the rights for Bill and Ted. Come on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish that they would bring it back. Maddie and Kenneth, are you guys Bill and Ted fans?
I never saw it, unfortunately. I know.
Oh my God.
Because 27 was my first year. And when the few times that me and my sister, when we were, because we only went for one night, and it was a really busy night, but the few times that we popped over there to try and see it, it either had already started or the line was already full.
Yeah.
So we were just kind of like, okay. And I've also, my film professor is going to kill me for this, but I've also never seen the movies.
Oh God, the first one. Don't see
Yeah.
Oh, I like all of them.
I gotta watch them.
Yeah, because the first one they also go to, they go to Wet and Wild, and they do, and it's
that's right.
Remember that Napoleon Bonaparte is there? It's funny, it's wonderful. So that's
is really funny.
They're hysterical. Everybody's in that one. They pick up everybody from Time because they're doing a history report, and I thought, and Lincoln, everybody was in it. So whereas we modernize it, they weren't. But when I saw the movie, I was like, this is the best thing for Halloween because we can do whatever we want.
Yeah,
that's funny.
First Bill and Ted is worth watching because it's funny, I think, and I think a great concept.
Yeah. It's a really bizarre movie to watch, thinking about the idea, because we obviously watching it now, you kind of know the legacy and the history, and especially within Universal and Halloween Horror Nights. But I kept putting myself in the mind frame of like, this was a movie that was just like written by somebody. And they were like, what about a movie where two idiots go through time and collect a bunch of historic figures? And I'm like, why does this movie exist? I'm so glad it does, but like, why is this a thing?
How did this ever get approved?
And those guys, I mean, they'd show up anywhere, like they would get the time wrong in the phone booth and end up somewhere they didn't want to. And it was always what you got to love. Ted. Oh, remember how Ted's like, whoa. And those two guys, it was funny. Those two, I saw the last movie, not as funny at all. But, because they put a phone booth like in the future in some weird, I don't know what it's called, whatever futuristic thing they had. But and we had the phone booth built by Cinnabar, which is a special effects company. I mean, the phone booth was right there. It was cool stuff.
It was.
Yeah.
I wonder if we'll see it revived this year. I know it hasn't been long since it went away, but with the whole falling out with Academy of Villains,
you never know.
Stick it back in there.
Something's coming in. Something's going in there this year. I can't tell you what it is, but I know they're over there, monkeying around with it. So somebody, and that's smart. You get 2,500 people in. So, it's awesome. Yeah, that's a big 1,500. Sorry about that. It grew in my mind, but so that's great. That's a great place to, you got 1,500 people at a time. It's a great place for them to go and see a show of some sort where you can sit.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Rest your feet.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, moving on.
So returning again from the first year, we also have the Pendragons. Yeah. These magical artists will enchant one and all with effects and illusions that defy the laws of nature, once again on the animal actors stage.
They're from Vegas, and they're a typical Vegas act, shall I say, with their husband and wife team. But basically, he throws knives and such at her.
Oh.
Yeah, it's one of those kind of things, pretty girl and guy. And that's what they do. I mean, again, it's, special effects are, poof, she shows up. But yeah, basically the finale is spin the girl around and they're throwing different knives at her. He throws axes at her. He does that type of thing. So that's what it was.
Oh, wow. I did not envision that.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was different again. And you got 1,500 people in there. And that's why those two shows were there to help. The houses, there aren't as many and everybody wants to win. So this was another way to try to get people to do something, shall I say, rather than wait in line for a long time.
Oh, okay. That sounds cool. We've discussed several times about why they don't currently use the animal actor stage for anything, because they totally could, and we don't know why they don't.
Well, I don't either, because that was there were things that filmed in there. I mean, what is it? One of the animal shows that's on television, and when Barney first came to us, that's where we put him, in between the animal shows. But it's you got a venue that it seats that many people, and yes, it's a little different than the other one, but now it has a huge screen in there, so you can see the audience. I don't know why they don't. We had Price is Right in there in the future, which was a game show with Beetlejuice.
I would love to see that show.
So I don't know why they don't use it. My theory is let the sit down for 5 minutes.
Yes.
That's like wears you out. Girl.
Amen.
Yeah. So that was the goal. If take the heat off, I can sit for 20 minutes. And animal actors also. I mean, you can use some of those if whatever you put in there. You can still, if you wanted to, you can incorporate, the vulture or different things that are in there from the animal people if you ask them. Not that everybody wants to work with chimpanzee, but there's water in there, and the backstage is you. So yeah, you tell me why they don't use it.
I don't know, but it's in a perfect place for resting.
Yeah. Well, especially now when you're all the way back to those haunted houses, take you through all those trailers and ugliness. All that. Mm-hmm. I hate that. I don't know why they don't cover that a little better. But you're walking back to Israel, and then you drag your carcass all the way back, right? Because that's the only way to go. So you're dragging by then, even though you've already just gotten there. And so put something in there. And
yes. You are preaching to the choir, because those houses that are back there in the E.T. and Barney, those are the longest
it's a hike
ever.
I mean, it's the first time I walked back there, I'm like, God, I need oxygen.
It's a lot.
Like they could just open it up and let people sit in there without a show. I feel like I would love that.
Right?
Or they could bring in, again, as much as Vegas is Vegas, you don't have to, but they could put in, because we brought in you could put in something like, there's a lot of stuff you can put in there, for God's sakes, that entertains people. You don't have to write a new show.
Yeah.
You could bring in 10 if you wanted to and spend the money.
Just play a movie.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want to.
Even if Beetlejuice just popped in every now and then to tease you for being wusses and having to sit, that would be great.
But you can do something really easy. That's why it always amazes me now. And I used to know the technical name of the camera thing. I'm embarrassed that I can't think about it. But especially now, because you can, throw it up on screen. So whoever your entertainment is that you have in there, and again, I would pay someone that's an act, I want to call it.
Yeah.
From a Las Vegas and show, they can show the guest reactions. Now you have something fun.
Yep.
Beetlejuice could be the pre-show, because we always had a pre-show to all these shows, which is somebody, that you don't think is going to be there, that entertains the crowd, that then starts doing, because the music is pretty much sort of old school rock and roll, and it's the guy cleaning up, and then all of a sudden he starts dancing, and then everybody's doing YMCA. But you could put Beetlejuice in as a guy that does the pre-show before that show. Like you said, I mean, you got it down.
There's so much, yeah. And listen, Universal, Mama is talking. You guys need to listen.
They don't care because I'm a girl. You guys don't understand, I mean, those, I was the only one. There were two of us in the whole joint that were, not secretaries or the head of, what do you call it, safety. But yeah, I mean, it's a different world as to what they do out there.
Yeah.
But I do know. That's what I want to say. I do know because, I learned how to do this when I worked for Universal in Hollywood. So a day at a time. But
right.
yeah, if you got the dumb building sitting there, I would use it.
Amen. Well, this next thing is very awesome, and I know it's one of your babies. So this year, 1992, brought something very special to the event. A 30-ton robot invaded the streets of New York with a mission to destroy. Julie, please tell us more about your baby, the Robosaurus.
Oh my God, I dated Robosaurus for a while. I mean, he's this huge, like, transformer dude, right? And when they bring him, he comes on this huge truck. And it's a freaking fire-eating, car-eating dragon, dude.
But how cool is that?
Oh, I love him. He breathes fire, and roars. And of course, there's a guy in there. Robo's huge, but he comes in like this, and then the guys do it, and he just, he opens up like a transformer. He does that before the tribe comes. But he eats these freaking cars. I mean, the first year he came, we had like the crowd running like, the horror films that were produced like in Japan with the people screaming. And everybody's trying to, stop him. Now, the great part about the first Robo was the cars that you have to make sure there's no gas in it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because they'll catch fire. So, and he breathes fire. So the guy Robo picks up the one car. And I said to myself, Jesus, God, there's got to be some gas in there because now the car's on fire. People are screaming, they're yelling, and I'm like, I see this mushroom cloud from over there, and I thought, oh my God, the Russians have bombed Universal Studios Florida. So I see this freaking thing. He drops the car down, and now the street's on fire.
Oh
my God.
People are cheering. They're like, this is the best thing I've ever seen in my life. We have to call the fire department. Have to call the Orlando Fire Department, and there's only one gate they can get in to get all their equipment. These people think it's part of the show.
I would too.
Like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Also, now the Orlando Fire Department comes in, and they have to get the fire out. We literally destroyed the portion of the street. We burned the street. People are like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life.
That's great.
I love Robosaurus. He's so imposing, and this big thing comes down through the buildings there, and this fire, and oh yeah, he's cool. I mean, I think he's in monster truck shows too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Robosaurus. People like Robosaurus. He's just fun.
Yeah.
They brought him back in 2006 and I got to see him.
You got to see the man. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool.
It's fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the first year he came was the best because of the street. I mean, I just stood there with my mouth open. And it was just one of the funniest things, but not funny. But the people thought, this is the best damn show I've ever seen. They set the street on fire.
Good job. You planned it all. It's okay.
It's on fire. It's not a special effect. You know what I'm saying? The street's on fire.
That's awesome.
Good old days.
Very cool. And we've already talked a little bit about Thunderdome, but Kenneth, you want to?
Yeah, Thunderdome was over on Hollywood Boulevard, like you said earlier. And it says here, none shall escape the threatening encounter with the barbaric queen and her evil army of brutes.
Yeah, these are the wrestlers again, and big ass dude. I mean, those guys and they're just walking in the crowd getting. We've got them in with the audience as they stand there and wait to get through. That was how you got in.
Oh, cool.
You don't get in till you go through Thunderdome. And so, you got all these people backed up and there's these people walking around. And this girl, she has a whip. All these people are in leather. It's a sexy show.
Hey now.
Again, we had to put people in. They're picking people up in the middle of the damn, where all the people are standing, torches and stuff is going on. And actually, believe it or not, that's the first wedding we ever had Halloween.
It was at Thunderdome?
Yes, they asked us, could they get married? And we said, sure.
Oh,
my God. They got married. And this is my favorite. And the bridal party was the Munsters.
Wow.
That's amazing.
We had great looking folks. great makeup people. So, Lily Munster was her bridesmaid or maid of honor. And they were all, it was cool. It was fun. And he went in, we grabbed up the groom, of course, once they got up there and put him in the cage. And yeah. And then when he came up, he was burnt. So yeah, Thunderdome was fun. I mean,
Oh my God.
She roamed that thing. It's like an S&M show almost. But,
that sounds cool.
It was fun. Again, it was interesting. And it was like going through the gates of Halloween Horror Nights. So we think of it that way, Yeah, it was great. And
yet another thing that probably wouldn't fly today.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, they had that horrible Hollywood, whatever that stupid show was they had last week, the makeup, plastic surgery. That's the worst thing I've ever seen. They should be embarrassed by themselves for that. That was ridiculous, the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But around, you could do a lot of it. With this one, safety was involved. The fire department was involved. You don't want to set things on fire of the torches. But yeah, it was tremendous fun. And they got married at Halloween Horror Nights. I'm not kidding. They did. She had a dress. We dressed all of them. We dressed him and we dressed her. So it was fun. It was really different.
Hashtag couple goals. That's pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
It was really funny. And we had we had our own, we had one of the notary publics from the big office. She married. We dressed her up too. So
wow.
Pretty damn bizarre. But can you imagine going in there and again, you're going through, we'll call it the gates of hell, to go into Halloween Horror Nights. I think it's a great idea. So
it's such a great idea.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like it too, but that's okay.
So cool. Well, there's another cool thing in Hollywood this year that I wish that we could have now.
Yeah. So also in Hollywood, you can find the Carnival of Horror, which was a one-night only costume contest. Not sure really how it worked, whether it was guests or scare actors, but Julie, you would know best.
It's the people in the park.
So it was the guests.
Oh.
And again, you can't do this. You wouldn't want to do it anymore.
Costumes aren't allowed now. So
that can happen, but you have to also make sure, and I was really a Nazi on this, that they cannot come through with anything. People in this modern world are carrying fake guns, and you got to frisk everybody.
Yeah.
Certain things are just not allowed. No masks are allowed. No, you have to come in without any accoutrement. So somebody came in with the Terminator with his fake gun. I said, "You gotta go. You gotta go."
Wow.
But, yeah, and there were whole brigades of somebody who'd be Freddy Krueger, so everybody's dressed as Freddy Krueger, that type of thing. That's
a whole gang of Freddy Kruegers, like multiple.
Absolutely, everybody was dressed.
Oh my God,
that is so cool.
I love that.
Michael Myers' character, they're all dressed like that. So yeah, I think it's fun. I think it's different.
Did they win something? Or was it more just like a parade, like showing off?
It's a parade. The Freddy Krueger had a banner that said Freddy and, that kind of thing. And so it was just more of a show type of thing, show. It's just to fill up. It's something to see when you walk, you go in and you're lined up and you walk down and, you all of a sudden you see, 25 Freddy Kruegers or whatever.
It's kind of like the house.
It is.
25 Freddy Kruegers.
Exactly.
Sweet. Well, that was a lot of awesome information.
Oh yeah, well, it's good to know what it is because you can't figure it out when you read it. It's like wow.
No, and it's hard to find anybody who experienced those early years to give us a firsthand account of what it was like.
Yeah, the stalker's been there since he was like 8. My stalker's been there since then. But yeah.
Okay, well, maybe you can get him in touch with us so that he can be a guest on the show.
We could probably get somebody. I mean, some of the fun people. PJ Fenster, who I love, he was the guy that was in charge of all the characters' talent for the first year. PJ's crazy. Well, we never thought we have to feed these people, right? All this stuff is on us. We have to feed these people. So what are we going to do? PJ would go to the Italian restaurant down the street and he would beg and borrow and steal pizzas.
Oh my God.
All of a sudden, PJ's there with 30 pieces to feed the Dungeon of Terror and he was possessed. I mean, his hair's like coming out. I loved him. He just talks really fast. So he would literally go beg, borrow, and steal food for these people.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, he was hysterical. I mean, and that maybe one of the original rat ladies is there. There's people still out there. I mean, I know all the people that put it together. We're not, they're still around. They are, they're not dead.
Well, I might have to hit you up, Julie, and see if you can get me in contact with some people.
Even if you talk to some of the people that were in publicity and marketing, and they have interesting takes on everything. They have to sell this, and
right.
They have. I mean, there's things that we did, and I'm sure they still. We were on the Today Show with Ghoul School, which comes further, and it picked up its own speed. But they did a great job for getting it out there, and that's it's a lot of work goes into it.
Yeah.
We started doing not the first year and the second, and then it's a year round. Part of my job year round was Halloween Horror Nights.
Yep.
But they're out there.
Very cool. Well, we're going to do our best to try to track some people down to make these history episodes more lively, because history can sometimes be a little boring if all we're doing is reading from a page. So we're going to try to bring in some people that were there. So if anybody out there is listening who might have an interesting take or could help us out at all as far as joining us on this podcast and giving us some insider info, that would be awesome. Just get in touch with us. But for now, I think we'll wrap up our look back on the second year of Halloween Horror Nights. And thank you so much to the lovely Julie Zimmerman for gracing us with her presence and filling in some of those blanks for us. Those were definitely some cryptic first years. So thank you for joining us.
Welcome, my darling. And Robosaurus is going to come over for lunch to your house.
I'll make sure there's no gas around.
Yeah, don't have any gas. We'll set your tires.
That would not be good. No, definitely.
Also, thanks to HHN Legacy and HorrorNights.fandom.com for the information here. However, all snark and opinions were our own.
Definitely.
And so, until next time, the podcast has come to an end. Now, get out.